You're this perp back with another video, and I just got done watching From season 3, episode 4. Let's get right into it. So Tabitha has pulled back up to Fromville for the most part. You know, the ambulance sees the tree that's stuck in the road, and Tabitha knows exactly what to do in this situation. It's kind of frustrating to watch. We'll get into that. But anyways, back in town, Ethan gets a phone call. Well, the phone starts to ring and Ethan answers the phone, and it's Thomas. Starts playing mind games with Ethan, telling him that your mom is in trouble. She's in the ambulance. So then Jim finally puts some hands on this boy and just shakes the fear of God in this little kid and stuff. It says, like, you need to tell me exactly what was said. And pretty much Ethan tells his dad, like, Tabitha, mom, is in the ambulance. And this even has Julie freaking out a little bit because, yeah, Jim is turning up. Then back at Colony House, you have Elgin kind of just, everybody's kind of shooken up about this whole Raven situation, and Donna's making sure he's okay. Tilly is catching strays for even thinking about doing tarot cards in this place. I'm glad that somebody checked her. And did it seem like Marielle was low key floating with Fatima? I don't know. It could just be me. That's just a little observation I had in this little scene. But anyways, getting back to Victor and Sarah, which is probably the most interesting part of this episode for me, because this kind of gives you a lot more of just Victor trying to open up and trying to figure out something, you know what I'm saying, as far as remembering what he's supposed to do, because he remembers this event where everybody dies, but he just doesn't remember certain things. So this is why he needs Sarah. It was funny when Victor kind of threw shade at Sarah for killing her own brother, because he says, my family died, but the only difference is I didn't kill my brother, which was kind of funny and kind of fucked up. But Sarah's got to catch these strays here and there because she's still not the most likable, but people are starting to come around to her. Tabitha is trying to convince these EMTs to, like, keep driving. There's going to be a town. They're not really listening to her, you know, granted, because they're just there to get eaten by the monsters. Most of them are there to get killed by monsters. And now you have Boyd and Randall having this whole kind of conversation. It seems like Boyd is coming to the realization that Randall is actually kind of useful, and it might be too late for Randall, and we'll get into why. Then we have this scene between Christy and Kenny, and they're just having this, like, lovey-dovey kumbaya kind of moment that wakes up Jade. All that yapping they were doing pretty much woke him up, and he starts to kind of enter the conversation. So then Victor starts to tell Sarah about these little items he keeps in remembrance of people that have passed away, and it helps him remember certain bits of information. But something is missing that is frustrating Victor, and we're going to get into that. But before that, Boyd and Randall see the EMTs pull up. They don't know what the fuck's going on. They try to figure out what who's on board, and this is where we finally get Tabitha and Jim reunited, and he's just thankful that she's alive and she's well. But as far as these EMT people, except for this lady cop person that's a real dumbass, the two other EMTs end up getting killed by these monsters in pretty violent ways. One dude gets his throat slit, and the other dude gets pretty much his guts pouring out. That's a pretty violent way to go out, but it's really needed, because this show doesn't show a lot, but when it does, I really like the gore. So like I said, the cop lady here is sitting there just shooting everything in every direction, ends up shooting into Colony House and clipping one of the residents that lives there and stuff like that. And now it's up to Marielle to kind of stop the bleeding and whatnot, and the cops trying to just act like, oh, she wants sympathy and all that. She fucked up. She's a dumbass for even doing all that. But then you have one of the monsters starting to play games with Boyd and says, hey, I'll give you these keys to this ambulance if you give us Randall. And it just puts Boyd in a really interesting predicament. And Boyd ends up just taking the keys and saying, fuck you, and just being really upset and just leaving Randall there. So how do y'all feel about that? I know some people that are not fans of Randall are probably going to like that moment. Let me know how you guys feel about that in the comments below. So now Marielle has to take this bullet out because it's, didn't come out the other end and whatnot. And Boyd pulls up the Colony House without Randall, and he feels bad for leaving him behind because he definitely figured out that he was pretty resourceful because he's been picking up on their patterns, and he's the one that kind of was saying that, something's wrong here. They should be out at this time, and they're obviously planning something else, and that's interesting. But on to this scene with Fatima and Marielle having to take out this bullet, and man, there's a lot of little gore. So if some people are sensitive to this stuff, man, you might want to look the other way. But looking at Fatima and knowing where she goes later on in this episode, I kind of look at this picture differently. Very weird shit. But anyway, Tabitha, Jim, and everybody are able to get back into the Colony House, and then everybody is really shocked to see Tabitha here. Elgin is having a conversation with Tilly, and then he all of a sudden sees the creepy ass ghost girl, ends up following her. The ghost girl asks for help, and that's probably a sign for Fatima, or just something that's yet to happen, about to happen with her. And it's really kind of gross where this stuff goes with Fatima, but we're going to get into that very shortly. But we have these little kumbaya moments, one weird one between Ethan and Julie, where Ethan's just like really trying to be grown here and just doesn't want to be treated like a kid, is concerned about Julie and just what she's been going through. Julie finally kind of opens up to Ethan, and they have this really dope heart-to-heart, and Ethan says, no matter what, if people end up dying here, we just got to look out for each other. Really sad shit that this kid's going through. The opposite is going on with Jade, Kenny, and Christy, where they're having really like heartfelt moments with weird things going out, weird sounds happening outside of the cabin where they're at, and maybe the other people just got killed and they just don't even know it, and they're just having these happy moments. That would be fucking crazy to see in the next episode. Like, they wake up and just see their carcasses in the next episode. I predict that will happen. Probably not, but that would be a really fucking cool way to kind of just have that be a reveal. Speaking of reveals, we see that Victor now remembers what he's missing, and it's this slapping the doll looking ventriloquist doll named Jasper that belonged to this guy Chris. And we learn that Chris used to be like Jade, like a nice person, until he started to see the symbols. But there's some interesting things with this Jasper character that has me wondering certain things, and it's going to be really creepy to see Victor and this Jasper character interact. But back at Colony House, Boyd is just fuming right now. He's literally losing his mind while Jim and Tabitha are having this conversation. Tabitha is telling Jim that the old man that came back with them is Victor's father. he just want to make sure that she's okay. He doesn't really care about all the other stuff. But things are going really bad downstairs with old girl that got popped, and she pretty much ends up dead. And Boyd just goes in on this dumb cop lady and just says, like, that's all you do is just point and shoot. What the fuck is wrong with you? I honestly love that whole entire scene because Boyd is just going off, and this chick really deserves it. You know what I'm saying? You didn't need to be firing towards the house, not knowing what the fuck you're doing just because you're scared and whatnot. You're just shooting your fucking gun, just being completely reckless, and look what you have done. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know if this character is going to survive too long, so we'll have to wait and see. And this is where Donna kind of steps in and says, yo, Boyd, I need you to come with me right now. And she starts to just let it all out. She's completely broken. She's tired of people dying left and right. She doesn't know what the fuck to do. And Boyd's the only person that can kind of like really see or understand that. And she needs him to be just around because things are just not going well for her and just everything and everybody in both Colony House and people that live in the town. So now going back to Victor and this Jasper character. Now this Jasper character actually talks because he, when he was a little kid, stumbled upon these Chris and this doll talking to each other. So Victor says this character Jasper, this doll, might know what the hell is going on here or what I should be remembering, so I need to find Jasper. Now we get to this weird ass Fatima scene where, she starts to take a liking into dead bodies, even putting two fingers in, like, oh man, she starts to like taste this dead woman's blood, and shit starts getting weird. Like I'm really curious to see what's going on with Fatima, and if it's true that it's like a monster that's growing inside her and she's turning into a monster, which would be really cool to see happen to a lot of these characters. Like they slowly just turn into monsters and stuff. That would just be cool. But the episode ends with, Randall actually still being alive with with a bunch of scars on his face. He's pretty banged up. So how you guys feel about this episode? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Till next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.